It seems quite a few devotees already left. It's understandable. Tomorrow is Monday and schools are opening and people also have to go to their work. And so those who stayed back, a special thanks to you. And so this morning we discussed about Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to Rupa Goswami. And now we'll discuss about Sanatana Goswami. Briefly discussed about Sanatana Goswami also this morning. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were two brothers, extremely intelligent. And when the king of Bengal, who was a Muslim king, got to know about their intelligence and brilliance, he actually decided to get them to join his court. And although those days, for a Brahmana to have anything to do with a Muslim was considered to be very, very fallen and very degrading. Therefore, they used to be ostracized from their community. Not only the Brahmanas, and as a result of that, so many people who were actually Hindus originally converted into Muslim. Because the way the society treated them, where the Hindu society treated them. Especially the people from lower class like Sudras and others, most of them actually became Muslims. And that's why we find in India all these like artisans, and they're all Muslims. The carpenters, stone carvers, they all converted into Muslim. So that was the condition. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with a process that actually stopped that undesirable development. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with a message, the highest spiritual message, which was meant for everyone. As I mentioned, like Buddhimanta Khan, he was forced to kind of drink the water that was considered to be contaminated by the Muslims. And just because he was forced to drink that water, it was considered that he lost his caste. So, and when he asked the Brahmanas what to do, they proposed some impossible conditions. Like you have to drink molten lead. Molten lead means boiling, what? I mean, how can anybody drink molten lead? That means he will try, he'll die. Whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just chant Hare Krishna. So, this is how magnanimous Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was and the process that he gave. So similar was the condition of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Very exalted Brahmanas. They originally came from Karnataka. Their ancestors came from Karnataka and settled down in Bengal. very exalted, and they were very, very Krishna conscious. Like they created a Vrindavan in their house. Where they used to live, they created Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami, when he was a little boy, he had a dream that somebody came and gave him a Srimad Bhagavatam. And since then, Bhagavatam became Sanatana Goswami's constant companion. He mentioned that, Madhurika Bantu, my only friend, my constant companion. So that is how exalted these personalities were. But because they were forced to take the service of the Muslim king, the Brahminical society ostracized. They were considered that they become Muslims. And so they begged Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what should we do? Mahaprabhu gave them the simple understanding. Just take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they themselves were so humble that when Rupa Goswami made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Rupa Goswami to Ballavacharya, then Rupa Goswami, when he asked who he was, and Rupa Goswami is considered that I'm a very, very fallen person. And because he saw Ballavacharya as such an exalted Brahmana, such an Acharya. And Ballavacharya recognized him. He said, I can see that you are chanting the holy name of the Lord. So how can you consider yourself to be fallen? Because one who chants the holy name is the most exalted person. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that because he is a Vaishnava, he is by nature very humble. So, and why they were forced to take the job of the Muslim, the service of the Muslim king? Because if they did not, then they would have been in trouble. The whole family would have been in trouble. Hussain Sahib was such a cruel person. Like, just to give an example, he conquered some other king and he made a victory tower in his capital. Very high tower. And so when the tower was complete, then he went on top of that with the architect. And he found some defect in that construction. And with some, he questioned the architect and whatever, I don't remember in detail what actually happened. So he just grabbed the architect and threw him from top of the tower. Such a cruel person. And when he told Sanatana Goswami, when Sanatana Goswami wanted to retire, that also shows how much confidence and intimacy he had with Sanatana Goswami. He considered Sanatana Goswami to be the younger brother. And he identified himself as the elder brother who is a plunderer. And all he does is kill people, plunder, and loot things. That is my activity. And you are the one who is taking care of everything. So if you go, then what will happen to the kingdom? And Sanatana Goswami just would not. This time, he is adamant. He would succumb to any pressure or any threat. He said, no, I cannot continue anymore. my heart is not here anymore in these activities. Because once he got the taste of Krishna consciousness, he did not want to continue anymore in the materialistic activities. So, he wanted to resign. But King Hussein Shah would not let him resign. He started to plead. Okay, come with me. I'm going to Orissa to fight with the king there. You come with me. And his response was, you are just going to go there to give trouble to the Supreme Lord. So I don't want to be a part of that. So then Hussein Shah said, arrest him, put him in the prison. When I come back, then I will deal with him. So Sanatana Goswami was put into prison. And as I mentioned, Sanatana Goswami, the king went away to Orissa to fight with King Prataprudra. Sanatana Goswami was in the prison, and he knew the jailkeeper, the jailer, was a Muslim. So he started to speak to him that, look, I want to resign from this royal activity, royal service, because I want to take to spiritual life. Now tell me, is there anything wrong? If somebody, for the sake of accepting spiritual life, gives up his materialistic activities, is there anything wrong? Then the prison keeper said, yes, I agree, there's nothing wrong. He said, see, the king arrested me and kept me in the prison. So why don't you release me? Let me go to Makkah. He used the word Makkah because otherwise he wouldn't understand where is Vrindavan. There's some language that he would understand. So, I will become a mendicant, I'll become a spiritual person, and I'll go to Makkah. So, he said that, look, if I let you go, then the king will kill me. Sanatana Goswami then put some temptation in front of him. I give you 5,000 gold coins. But then he raised the amount. So he started to, the jailkeeper. Although at first he refused 5,000, but this time the temptation started to work. So much money. And Sanatana Goswami gave him the idea also that the king won't get to know that you released me. Like he said, probably those days they used to do their morning rituals. They used to go out in the open. So he said, with my hands and feet tied with chains, I went to the bank of the Ganges to evacuate. And then I fell in the river, and because my hands and feet were tied, so I drowned. You couldn't, although you looked around, but you couldn't find me. And so this time, the prison in charge accepted my proposal. And he made arrangements to take him across the Ganges. And Sanatana Goswami took one servant with him. And they didn't travel through the main road because there was a possibility of being recognized. So they took a forest path. And through the forest path they came to a place which was at the foothill of a mountain. So they approached one roadside motel. And the motel keeper was very respectful. Now, you can well imagine must have taken them days together, or maybe even weeks together to travel. So their dress and appearance was very unkempt. So they looked like very poverty-stricken. So Sanatana Goswami started to wonder why this person is treating me with such respect. So he asked his servant, "Are you carrying any money with you?" He said, "Yes, I am carrying 7 gold coins." So Sanatana Goswami gave it to me. So this is how smart he was. The way somebody treated him, from that he could understand that something is wrong, something is not right. And so he took the gold coins and he went to the innkeeper and told him, "Please take this, you are such a nice person." So the innkeeper then said that, "You saved me from a great sin that I was about to commit. I have an astrologer who can calculate and figure out how much money one has with them. So when you came here, the astrologer actually told me that you have 8 gold coins. And I was actually planning to kill you tonight in order to take that money. But I can see that you are a very saintly personality. So keep that money with you. I don't want it. Keep it with you." Sadhu Goswami insisted, "No, please take it. Because this money, carrying this money is something like carrying a venomous snake. Because this money is going to be the cause of my death. Just as it would have happened." So Sanatana Goswami insisted. So that Priya, that person, he was a landlord. He told him, "Tomorrow morning I will give my man to go across the mountain." And so Sanatana Goswami in the morning he asked his servant, "So do you have still some more money?" Because they said 8 gold coins. And he gave 7. They said, "Do you have?" He said, "Yes, I still have 1 gold coin." He said, "Okay, take it and go back home." And Sanatana Goswami started to travel alone. And that happened, this place was in Bihar. And in Bihar and UP border, there is this mountain. So he crossed that mountain and came to a place called Haldipur. And there his brother-in-law was there. His brother-in-law also was in government service. And he used to buy animals there, horses and elephants, and send them to Shivcha. Big position. Hussain actually gave him 300,000 gold coins to buy. You can see that all of them are so exalted, situated in such exalted position. And so his name was Shrikanta. Shrikanta just saw Sanatana Goswami. So they met. Sanatana Goswami told him everything. Shrikanta said, "Come and please stay at my place for some time. I can see you are so exhausted." Because if I go to your place, somebody will find out and report to the king, so that will be Good Friday for me. So he decided to carry on. And that time it was winter time, getting very cold. So he gave him a blanket. So he was a very opulent person, so he had a very expensive, he gave him a very expensive blanket. So Sadhguru Goswami accepted that. And in this way he came to Benares. When he came to Benares, then he got to know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the house of Chandrasekhar. And so Sanatana Goswami went and was sitting outside, did not really knock at the door, didn't try to go in. He thought when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come out, then he would meet him. So he was sitting outside. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Chandrasekhar, Chandrasekhar, there is a Vaishnava outside. Please ask him to come. Bring him in. So Chandrasekhar came out, couldn't find any Vaishnava, so he went back and said, I didn't see any Vaishnava there. Did you see anyone there? Yes, there was a Muslim fakir. Fakir means like a Muslim holy man. And so from the description it seems that Sanatana Goswami was looking like a Muslim at that time. Long hair, long beard, and wearing the dress with a blanket around his torso. And so Chaitanya Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was there anybody there? Yes. There was a Muslim fakir. Okay, call him in. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in, when Sanatana Goswami was brought in, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and embraced him. Sanatana Goswami was very embarrassed. Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. I'm so dirty. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that I touched you to get purified myself. Toma Sporshi Atma Pavitrite. For the sake of purifying myself, I am touching you. With your spiritual potency, you can sanctify, you can deliver the entire universe. Toma Sporshi Atma Pavitrite. Bhakti bole paro tumi brahmanda shodite. Brahmanda. With your spiritual potency, with your devotion, with your power of devotion, you can deliver the entire universe. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Chandrasekhar to take Sanatana Goswami to a barber and get him civilized. So that's the expression he used. So mind you, from the description, if you have long hair and beard, then you look uncivilized. So Sanatana Goswami was taken to a barber, got shaved up, went to Ganga, took a bath, and Chandrasekhar gave him a new cloth. Sanatana Goswami didn't want to accept it. He said, give me an old dhoti, old cloth. So he got him an old cloth, used cloth, and he tore it into pieces. And with one piece, he wrapped around he made a coping and wrapped around his the other piece he wrapped around his waist, and the other piece he used to cover his torso. So that is how that became the dress of the Babaji. Babaji actually means the dress of a Paramahamsa. Although he accepted that dress, but actually that was the dress of someone who is beyond this material nature and in the spiritual. That situation is beyond sannyas. Sannyas color is saffron. Saffron means in the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness also is in the material nature. But beyond the material goodness is the spiritual reality. And the color of the spiritual world is white. Suddha Sattva. So that was, although Sanatana Goswami took that dress in that way, but eventually it turned out to be the dress of the ones who were situated in the Paramahamsa stage. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that, he was very pleased. Oh. And he said, oh, no, he didn't say anything. He looked at his blanket. And Sanatana Goswami got the message. So he immediately went to the Ganges, Ganga. And he saw a poor Bengali Vaishnava there. He was taking his bath. So he asked him, my dear brother, will you please give me your kantha in exchange of this blanket? So that man, look, from your appearance it looks like you're a gentleman. So, why are you cracking this nasty joke with me? Sanatana Goswami said, I'm serious. Please take this and give it to me. Because kantha, you see, the quilt, in India they use quilt. I'm sure here also you use quilt by stuffing with cotton inside. And that becomes the quilt for the winter. But poor people cannot really afford even a quilt or a blanket. What they do is they get old clothes, worn out, even torn clothes, 6, 7 of them together, and then they stitch it together. So they call it kantha. And it's quite warm actually. Because as many layers are there, that many layers of air is there. And that is how it becomes insulating. So anyway, so Sanatana Goswami exchanged his expensive blanket for a worn out kantha. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that, he was very pleased. And he said that would be such a contrast, such a hypocritical appearance. In one hand you are wearing an old, worn out dhoti and kurta, dhoti and chadar, and your business is going from door to door baking, and at the same time you are wearing this very expensive blanket. What will people think? And he said, Krishna is the best doctor. So just as a best doctor doesn't even leave the last streak of disease in the body, why he actually took away whatever this last apparent attachment was there. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified Sanatana Goswami. And when Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually asked him, "Who am I? Why am I subjected to threefold miseries? Ke ami, amare kane, jare tapotray." Who am I? And why am I suffering the threefold misery? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated that question very much. And he said, "I know that you are not asking this question because you don't know the answer. But for the sake of benefiting others, you are asking this question." Now, isn't that the situation of every living entity? Who am I and why am I suffering? That is the sign of real intelligence. Those who think that they are enjoying in this material nature or they will be enjoyed in this material nature, they are actually extremely unintelligent. The sign of intelligence is, who am I? Why am I suffering? So although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that you don't need the answer because you know the answer, but for the benefit of others, you are asking this question. So, this way, Sanat Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to instruct Sanatana Goswami. Who am I? Am I this body? Now let's go back to Bhagavad Gita. What did Krishna point out? The body is changing. Dehi nashmi yatha dehe omaram jovanam jara. So any intelligent person will consider that this body is changing from childhood to boyhood, to youth, and eventually old age. But in spite of the change of the body, I am not changing. Isn't it a very common sense consideration? I'm not changing, I'm the same person. 5-year-old me, 15-year-old me, 25-year-old me, 50-year-old me is the same me. So my body changed. That 5-year-old body is not there anymore. But I am the same person. And if we stretch it even more, at some point, this body will be finished. And that is the question. When the body dies, do I stop to exist? When the body dies, do I stop to exist? And answer from the scripture is no. And the common sense consideration also is, somebody died, body is lying there. But we say, he is gone. He is gone. So the body is lying there, so why do you say he is gone? So who is he that is gone? And his absence made the body to die. make the body to become dead. So that is the intelligent consideration. Our actual identity is not this body, but the one that makes this body alive. That is me. And that me is indestructible. That me is never born. And that me will never die. It is the body that is born, and it is this body that will die. When the soul accepts a new body, we call it birth. When the soul departs from the old body, we call it death. Who is born and who dies is the body that is born. So now, that understanding, in order to get that understanding, it is important that we come across a person who has the knowledge. And when we come across such a person, who is that person? That person is the Guru. That person is Vaishnava. That person is the person who knows Krishna. Who is eligible to become a Guru? Jai Krishna Tattva Vedta Shai Guru. One who knows Krishna in truth, in reality, he is eligible to become a Guru. Unless and until one knows Krishna, he should not be. Because knowing Krishna is the ultimate culmination of knowledge. And when you reach that ultimate culmination of knowledge, then you know everything. When we get to know Krishna, Jasmin Vigyate, Sarvamemam Vigyatam Bhavati. Krishna is as such that when you know Krishna, then you get to know everything. Now, apparently it may sound strange. Just by knowing Krishna, I will know everything. How is it possible? An analogy can be given in that respect. When you consider knowing things in this material nature which is dark. Material nature is in total darkness. So in darkness, if you get to know something or get to see something, what do you need? You need light. So in this world, we need light of knowledge to know. Knowledge comes by means of light. So you light a lamp, it gives out some light, but for how long the lamp will give the light? Only for some time. Then it will be extinguished. Then it will become dark again. And in this way, by the arrangement of light, we get knowledge. Now when you go out of that dark room and come in broad daylight, then do you need any more light? So spiritual knowledge is something like that. When you come out and see the sun, in the light of the sun you get to see everything. So knowing Krishna is something like seeing that sun. Then there is no more need for any other external arrangement for seeing things. So knowing Krishna is something like that, coming into broad daylight and seeing everything. Because when you see Krishna, it is something like seeing the sun and naturally in the light of the sun, seeing everything else. Therefore, it is said that Guru must know Krishna. And when one knows Krishna, then he knows everything. So, now, what is the relationship between living entities and Krishna? And living entities in this material nature? Few examples can be given. One example is what I just gave now. The sun. Krishna is compared to the sun. And does the sun have many, many rays? Naturally, sun has many rays. So Krishna is like the sun, and living entities are like those rays of the sun. Now consider, yourself is like a ray. Now if your back is towards the sun, will you see the sun? What will you see? You'll see your own shadow. And that shadow is what we are seeing in this material nature. The self that we are identifying is simply the shadow due to the absence of light. And that is the false ego, or mistaken identity. But if we turn towards the sun, will you see the shadow anymore? No, we'll see the sun. Therefore, when we turn towards Krishna, there is no possibility of seeing our mistaken concept or the mistaken identity that is caused by that shadow. You don't see the shadow anymore. Another example. Fire and a spark. Spark is also fire, but it's tiny little fire. And when the spark comes out of the fire, what happens? It loses its ability to burn. It's not fire anymore. And it comes out of the fire, and what is there next to the fire? Ash. And it falls on the heap of ash. Although it was an inflammable object, it used to be a spark, it used to be a fire, but now it has become ash. So our situation again is something like that. Another analogy that I was talking about. Originally we are spiritual entities. But we are tiny little spiritual entities. So when we become separated from Krishna, then we lose our spiritual qualities. And what is next to Krishna? Maya, material nature, illusory energy, which can be compared to the ash. And falling on a heap of ash, now we have become ash. Falling on a heap of matter, we are identifying ourselves in the matter. Falling in the heap of matter, we have become materialized. Now, okay, the spark that used to be fire at one time, that tiny speck of inflammable object, when it is put back into fire, then what will happen? Become fire again. So, in order to spiritualize ourselves, now that we have become materialized, so now to spiritualize ourselves, what do we have to do? We have to revive our connection to Krishna. Become connected to Krishna. And we'll regain our spiritual qualities again. So, is it clear? What is the way to revive our spiritual identity? Simply become connected to Krishna. Okay, now, how does one become connected? What is the means? What is the way to become connected? Say, if I want to become connected to somebody, what do I do? Develop a relationship. What is the basis of relationship? The mother has relationship with her child. What is the basis of that relationship? Love. It is through love that we develop relationship. And love is there to develop our relationship with Krishna. Why there is love in everyone's heart? Why there is love in everyone's heart? It is simply to develop our relationship with Krishna. When that love is offered to Krishna, then that love takes the shape in the form of service. Love is not just a matter of words. The real love is expressed through some action. Does the mother have to tell the child, my dear baby, I love you, I love you? But what does the mother do? Her whole existence is centered around the child. The mother is constantly thinking what the child needs. And that is how her love is expressed. Even though she may not even say even L of love. So this is how love is actually a matter of expression through doing something. That is why when we love Krishna, the love gets a shape in the form of action, and that action is called devotional service. And that is why time and time again in the scriptures it has been pointed out that if anybody wants to develop his connection to Krishna, the way is bhakti. Not by any other means, not by austerities, not by penance, not by sacrifice, not by charity, we can develop our relationship with Krishna. The only way we can develop our relationship with Krishna is through that loving, devotional service. Is it clear? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this point clear through Sanatana Goswami. And then it comes to, in this way, it comes to three aspects. We spoke about relationship and the Sanskrit, what is the Sanskrit word for relationship? Let me ask Shri Radharaman. Sambandha. Now relationship entails or involves three aspects. knowing the person and knowing ourselves and then only we develop the relationship. That is why it is so important to know our actual identity, that is spiritual. And then, if we want to love somebody, then we have to know that person. So, knowing that person of love is very important. So if we want to develop a loving relationship with Krishna, then it is important that we get to know Krishna. So we get to know ourselves. Who are we? We are spiritual entities, spirit soul. As spirit soul, we are parts and parcels of Krishna. So if we are the parts and Krishna is the whole, then do we have a relationship with Him? Now let us become situated in that relationship. Now how to become situated in that relationship is called Abhidheya. And what is the Abhidheya aspect? The means of becoming connected, as we just mentioned, is Bhakti. And why do we need to develop our relationship with Krishna? That aspect is known as Prayojan, Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. And what is the necessity, what is the need, what do we actually need? All of us, what do we need? We need Ananda. Everyone is hankering for joy. And that joy is derived by developing our loving relationship with Krishna. Love is the basis of joy. Love means loving relationship with Krishna. A spirit soul's connection to the Lord is love. The desire to give pleasure to Krishna's senses is called love or prem in Sanskrit. But in the material nature, this prem is reflected in a perverted way. In reality, a living entity wants to become connected to Krishna. A spirit soul, because it's a part and parcel of Krishna, he needs to become related to Krishna. But in the material nature, what goes on in the name of love is attraction for two bodies. But that is not love. That is called lust. So Chaitanya Charitamrita very clearly is mentioning that point. Atmendriyo priti vancha tare boli kam Krishnendriyo priti ichha dhare prem naam. The desire to gratify our senses is called lust. But the desire to give pleasure to Krishna's senses is love. Otoeb kam preme bahuto antar kam andho tamo prem nirmal bhasha. Therefore, there is a vast difference between love and lust. Lust is the deepest region of darkness, whereas love is brilliant as the sun. So this is the difference between our mundane relationship and our spiritual relationship. Spiritual relationships are based on our loving expression of our love to Krishna. And that is the ultimate goal of life. That is the ultimate fulfillment of our existence, and that is achieved by offering the love of our hearts to Krishna. Love is there in everyone's heart to establish that relationship with Krishna. And when we do that, then our hearts will become completely joyful. But if that love is offered to other objects, then instead of joy, that becomes the source of suffering. In the material nature, we notice, we develop relationship, loving relationship. But when that object of our love, we become separate from that object of love, then what happens? Then instead of joy, we get pain. Deeper the love, greater the pain. And in the material nature, sooner or later, all our relationships will come to an end. Sooner or later. Either they will go or we will go. So, this is the real wisdom, and it goes on and on. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining Krishna's qualities. Krishna is the all-attractive Supreme Personality of God. Like love is generated through attraction. Attraction causes love. And Krishna is all attractive. Therefore, Krishna is the object of love. What are those attractive features? And the features of attraction? Beauty. Krishna is the most beautiful. Strength. Krishna is the most powerful. Not most powerful, all powerful. Fame. Krishna is the most famous. Wealth. Krishna has all the wealth. He possesses all the wealth. Knowledge. Krishna has all the knowledge. And renunciation. Krishna, in spite of all his possessions, he is absolutely renounced. Now tell me, who can not be attracted to Krishna? It's only a matter of becoming aware of him. When we become aware of Krishna's qualities, when we recognize how attractive Krishna is, through these 6 features of attraction, then we can't help but fall in love with Krishna. Therefore, it is so important that we get to know Krishna. Therefore, it's so important that we develop our loving relationship with Krishna. If we get to know Krishna, then we will automatically develop our loving relationship. So, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami for 2 months. So you can well imagine what a vast knowledge, spiritual knowledge that he imparted to Sanatana Goswami. Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question? Yes, Sri Radharama.
Thank you so much for enlightening us once again. Gurumaharaj, I had a question. You mentioned about the Babaji aspect of sannyas. We have Kotichak Bahuda, Parivachakacharya and Paramahamsa. Are these 4 stages, does one accept one of the 4 stages traditionally, or is it that you go through?
It gradually develops. Gradually, I mean, if you follow the course. Actually, I asked Srila Prabhupada, when he gave me sannyas, I asked Prabhupada, why don't we follow these stages? Like sannyas generally has 4 different stages. Kutichak, Bahudha, Paribrajak and Paramahamsa. So I asked Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, our sannyas is not because of that. Our sannyas is for preaching. So that is our business. But if we go in that way, these are actually gradual development. Naturally, they have their relevance. Kutichak, one takes sannyas, but he leaves home, but stays near home. And his family members come and give him the food and whatever he needs. Right? He left home, but he is still getting things from his. Bahuda, he doesn't depend upon his family members' supply anymore. He begins to wander around, he begins to go door to door and begs. Then Paribrajak, he begins to travel. And then finally, he transcends the material nature and becomes situated in the pure spiritual life. Paramahamsa.
Thank you very much. You're mentioning about light and darkness. And just 2 verses occurred to me, and when I was thinking about those 2, a question arose from that. So in Gita, Krishna talks about Jnana Dipena Bhashvata, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Krishna Surya Samamaya Antikar. So do these 2 verses refer to Krishna giving light, or is it actually 2 verses that refer to the Guru, who then gives light of knowledge?
Yeah. You see, the giving actually takes place through the via medium. Krishna is giving, but it is coming through Guru. Right? Like Krishna is saying, Jnana Divana Vashata, but that is happening through Krishna's agent. Right? And Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhukar, like the example that I gave, like region of darkness, this world is the world of darkness, this is the world of Maya. And if we go to Krishna, then there is no room for darkness. When you go to Krishna, can darkness be there? When you go to sun, can there be darkness? So similarly, when you become connected to Krishna or when you become Krishna conscious, there is no room for darkness. That's why when one takes to bhakti, jnana automatically comes. Knowledge automatically.
Thank you. Guru Maharaj, you spoke about Sambandh, Abhideya and Prayojan. What does it actually mean when the acharyas talk about their respective deities of Gopinath, Madan Mohan and Govindaji? What does it actually mean?
Yeah. Madan Mohan is the Sambandha deity. Govinda is the Abhideya. Okay, Madan Mohan, getting to know Krishna. How do you get to see Krishna? The one who even enchants Cupid. Cupid attracting the whole world, and Krishna is attracting Cupid. Right? So this is how we get to know Krishna, when we get to know Krishna. Right? Someone, through someone. Govinda, giving pleasure to the senses. So we are trying to give pleasure to Krishna's senses through bhakti. And Gopinath, the Lord, the supreme enjoyer, dancing with the gopis, leading to supreme enjoyment. So this is how Sambandha, Avidya and Prayojan, like Sambandha, understanding Krishna, Avidya, the means to develop a relationship with Krishna, and Prayojan, the need to become situated in that joyful state. So this is how these three are the presiding deities of these three aspects.
Thank you so much, Raj. Sorry to have so many questions. I don't normally have questions when I hear lectures, but you arouse those in me because of the substance at which you present. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she wants.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such enlightening lectures over the last few days. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the pastime of Chota Haridas, which appears that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict with him over something which seemed quite small. Please, could you enlighten us as to what one is supposed to take from that particular pastime?
That one should be very careful. That is, when one develops his attachment to Krishna, there shouldn't be an iota of attachment for material sense gratification, mundane sense gratification. Because that's contradictory. How can we be attracted to Krishna and at the same time maintain our desire for sense gratification? So actually we have to, as I said, like, these are all drama. A play on the stage, a drama on the stage. Different characters, different actors and actresses are playing their roles. And through acting, they are teaching us something. Chota Haridas is Mahaprabhu's eternal associate. How can he develop? But he's using him to teach some lesson. Teach us some lesson. Yes, there are two questions here.
Guru Maharaj, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami were already Krishna conscious before meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
Well, again, we are going back to the play that are drama. The actor may know everything, but when he's playing the role, he's playing the role.
So they had already achieved their spiritual perfection.
Well, no, the thing is they had to come to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to develop the Krishna consciousness. in that respect, in that way.
Yeah. So they had to take up the chanting of the holy name to get to that point.
They had to come in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and be instructed by him and then get the knowledge.
Thank you very much.
Guru Maharaj, you mentioned something about the sun and the light and darkness, which is obviously material nature. I read somewhere in Prabhupada's books that the sun is one of the eyes of Krishna, because the whole entire universe rests on Krishna. They say the higher planetary system is about from the neck up, and then the material world is on his chest, and the lower planetary system, which is the hellish planets, are below the legs. So when we look at the sun, are we looking at the eye of Krishna?
This is just an example.
Okay.
You see, examples are not taken literally. Through example, we get some idea. That is, when it is saying that Krishna is like the sun, doesn't mean that sun is Krishna.
Okay.
You get the point?
Mm-hmm.
But analogy is given. Krishna is like the sun.
The sun is part of
Sun
energy.
and Krishna is, see, through the analogy, you are getting the sun is giving the light, and Krishna is the source of light. And when there is a source of light, is there any room for darkness? So Maya is darkness. That means absence of Krishna is darkness, Maya. When Krishna is not there, when light is not there, it's dark. When the light prevails, no room for dark. So this is an analogy.
Hare Krishna Gurumaj. Gurumaj, I wanted a clarification if I understood the point correctly. For Abhideya, is it the same as one practicing Bhakti Yoga and thus developing the relationship with Krishna? And when he attains the position of Prayoja, is that when he already is on a platform of Krishna Prem and he spontaneously loves Krishna, or is it like on a platform of Bhava Bhakti or something?
So Prayoja literally means the need. You need, whether you got it or not is secondary. You need it. Right? You need food. Whether you have the food or not, that is not the consideration. You need it. So similarly, the living entities need Krishna prema. Now, it doesn't mean that the need is the necessity. You need it. That doesn't mean that you already got it. You may have got it, you may not have got it, but everybody needs it. That's it.
Gurumaj, sorry, just a further explanation of that. Then the exact difference between Abhideya and Prayoja, one is the means. I don't understand, maybe I'm missing. What's the difference between the means and the need then? Is it
What's
the
that?
same? The difference between the means and the need.
Difference between?
The means of developing a relationship with Krishna and the need. Because to me it sounds very similar. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it.
Meat.
Means. The process.
Means.
Yeah.
Means. Yeah, the means and need are not the same. Like you may have the need, and the way you get that need is the means by which you get it. Alright? You need Krishna. How are you need to develop your relationship with Krishna. How are you going to develop it? So, using certain means that will enable you to get that. That's the means. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there is a question from Nirmala Radhika. Hare Krishna Maharaj. I heard we can't chant on a Japamala while there is Kirtan or lecture. Is this true and why is this? The question is whether you want to participate in the lecture and Kirtan. Can you do, how many things you can do at the same time? Huh? Okay, the thing is that when you are chanting, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to hear. So when you are hearing your chanting, can you hear the lecture? So then why try to chant? Either chant or listen to the lecture. Don't try to do two things because you will end up not doing anything. Right? Okay, thank you. Any other question? Yeah, she wants it.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, when like every individual soul has love for Krishna in their hearts, so what is that feeling of love for Krishna? Because it's difficult to understand what love actually is.
Yeah. Like, as I mentioned, in order to love somebody, you have to know that person. Right? And also, love needs maturity. Like, say, 5-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy, do they understand their loving relationship? But when the girl becomes 15 and the boy becomes 16, then what happens? All of a sudden they feel attraction for themselves, each other. Doesn't it happen? So it needs certain maturity of the body in order to feel the attraction. Right? Similarly, in order to develop a loving relationship with Krishna, there is a need for some spiritual maturity. That means spiritual awakening, spiritual advancement. So by practicing the process, when we develop that spiritual advancement, then we feel the attraction for Krishna. And then that loving relationship develops. So we have to wait for that. Like, okay, spiritually we are 5-year-old and 6-year-old, and therefore we are not able to understand what it actually means. But we heard, we read the books, we must develop that relationship, it's necessary. So let's grow up spiritually. And when we develop certain spiritual maturity, then it will happen.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I wanted to ask, it is said that whatever one does in devotional service, it stays with you eternally. So, is it possible that one can be so unfortunate that if the Bhakti Lata beach is there, that it can be destroyed? So, I just wanted to know, it sounds like a paradox, or am I not getting it right?
Why does it sound like paradox?
Because the devotional service that one does stays with one forever, but one can also, that's the question, that one can destroy the Bhakti Lata beach through various offenses and so on.
Okay, it's like, through a simple analogy, you are in South Africa, right? And you have 1 million rands. Now you go to America. Can you cash on that can you utilize that 1 million rand? Because you've gone to another dimension, another country, right? Similarly, the spiritual assets that we are collecting, they will have their value only as long as we are in the spiritual platform. If we slide down to the material platform, although it is there, like your 1 million rands there in South African bank, and when you come back to South Africa, you can utilize it. But when you are away from here, it doesn't have you can't really utilize it, or you don't have any value. So when you slide down to the material platform, then you lose those spiritual assets. But when you come back to the spiritual platform again, then yes, they'll become meaningful again. Right?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I just wanted to ask another question as well. It's maybe a little bit on a tangent. It's just about how there's a thing here that during this time the Muslims were very cruel to the Brahmanas and Indians. Is there a reason for that, or is it just that it's because of the because of the influence of Kali Yuga?
Both are relevant. The influence of Kali Yuga and their respective karma. Today, one who is a Hindu and being tortured by the Muslim, somewhere in the past he may have done something to the Muslim, and as a result of that he is getting his karma back. Right? Like, don't you hear that? Those who are killing the cows, they'll be born as cows and will be slaughtered. Karmic reaction. Yes.
Maharaj, my knowledge of history outside of Europe and America is nil, next to nil. I was under the impression that the British divided India and caused all the civil wars between the Muslims and the Hindus and whatnot. I didn't know that there was another civil war going on prior to British presence.
Yeah, it was there.
Division.
I mean, you see, that's one thing with this Muslim religion, They're so, the atrocities are so common in that. Wherever they went, they plundered, they tortured, and, because that religion actually developed in the middle of a desert. It's not a religion of cultured and educated and civilized people. These religions were started with uncivilized individuals. So the kind of standard that was established with them, automatically bred brutality. And like when they came to India, they came to conquer the country, naturally they didn't have compassion for the people. Like there had been instances like one Muslim king, I forgot his name, let me see, Nadir Shah. He was a Muslim invader. His name was Nadir Shah. And he came and invaded Delhi. And he got the news that one of his soldiers had been manhandled or killed. And he immediately gave the order that kill everybody. And can you imagine, like the soldiers went out and slaughtered everybody that came to their side. Just because, when the invaders invade some country, they naturally don't feel compassion towards the inhabitants of the country. So, anyway, what to do? This is a material nature. And that's why, especially in this age, like you see previously, in the civilized world, the kings used to fight with the kings. They did not involve the citizens. The soldiers used to fight with the soldiers. But now you can see how it is becoming more and more degraded. Like they invaded some country, they didn't fight only with the soldiers. They kind of plundered the country totally and didn't spare anyone. And now you're seeing it's becoming even more degraded. Like at least there was some reason they invaded the country and so forth. Now, the terrorists, what they're doing? They're just killing anybody and everyone on their side. For no rhyme or reason. The terrorist agenda is that all Americans are their enemy. Because they are American. Doesn't matter whether it's women, children. That is their, that is their open agenda. They tell that God. Any American is to be killed because they are Americans. And similarly, the Muslim have another agenda. Anyone who is not a Muslim meant to be killed. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, and that's one situation, and the other situation is that there is no powerful king to deal with them. There is no powerful ruler to establish law and order. Because otherwise, if there is a powerful king, then such miscreants will not be allowed. They will be slaughtered immediately. But there is no king, democracy. No powerful individual can function here. You have, what is that called? the amnesty, like, no, those who kind of human rights agents. You can't do anything. They'll just come and create a huge human cry. It's not human rights agency, it's a human cry agency. Right? In Afghanistan, US Army did this, human rights is making. I mean, the enemies, right? They would have killed you if they got you. But because you have treated them in a not such a pleasant way, you are victimized. It's a crazy world, and it's becoming even more and more crazy, actually. The only sanity is there in Krishna consciousness. This is the only thing that is bringing some sanity to this world. Okay, there is a question from Bhakti Ravi. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. When Lord Caitanya left home to accept the renounced order of life, Mother Sachi became immensely separated from him. So when she got the opportunity or had the opportunity to prepare a feast for him, she prepared a variety of shark. What is LC? Lord Caitanya states that this shark is known as Achyuta. Please elaborate on Achyuta. Is the shark called Achyuta?
Sorry, Maharaj. He says, the shark is known as Achyuta. By relishing this prasad, one quickly develops a special attachment for Krishna.
Yeah.
So what if you could elaborate on this?
Yeah.
The association.
That this shark is reminding Krishna so much that by tasting that shark, which is dear to Krishna, one will get attachment. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I'll stop now. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande.